Hello, my friends. Today, let's start with the fact that Zelensky met with Trump, and the main takeaway is that, judging by all the statements, this war is going to last much longer.
Yeah, that's not a good thing for Russia. This was supposed to be quick. And so, Russia doesn't look very distinguished, having taken 3.5 years now, right? It's about 3.5 years of very hard fighting. And it looks like it's not going to end for a long time.
As we can see, Trump is now openly saying that the war will go on for a long time, and he hasn't been able to stop it. Zelensky also said at the meeting with Trump that the war will continue until Russia stops.
And of course, we also want peace, because our soldiers are needed in any case. But thanks to our soldiers, we have this chance. We will continue until Russia stops the war, and I hope they do stop it.
But when Russia will actually stop, no one knows. But Trump once again decided to threaten Russia with sanctions. If Russia is not ready to negotiate peace, the US is prepared to impose powerful tariffs. But for those tariffs to work, European countries, all of you here, must join us and take the exact same measures. After all, you are much closer to this. The ocean separates us. You are right there, and Europe has to step up. They can't keep doing what they are doing, buying oil and gas from Russia while at the same time fighting against it. At the same time, Trump admitted that he was wrong when he thought he had good relations with Putin.
Ukraine and Russia situation, but we've settled. I thought that was going to be the easiest one because of my relationship with Putin, but unfortunately, that's it. Relationship didn't mean anything, unfortunately. But
As proof that this war will drag on for a long time, maybe even for years, Trump stated that he hopes Ukraine will take back its land. In a conversation with French President Emmanuel Macron, Donald Trump repeated his claim about the possibility of restoring Ukraine's 1991 borders, which he had earlier posted on Truth Social. Most of you have seen my recent statement. I'm glad you understood it, but this is truly how I feel. I believe they will get their land back. We'll see how it all turns out. And realistically, the only way to get that land back is through military force. Diplomacy doesn't work here. We've already seen that. And let's read this certain post, so listen carefully. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started are very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years in a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow and all the great cities, towns, and districts throughout Russia find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline because of the long lines and all the other things happening in the war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and keeps getting stronger. Ukraine will be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. As you can see, Trump now openly believes that Ukraine can take its land back militarily. So, friends, share your thoughts on this in the comments. And Zelensky said that Trump agreed with him that Putin will not wait until the war is over. He will keep looking for weak spots in Europe and NATO countries.
And today President Trump agreed with me that I said he will not wait for the ending of the war in Ukraine. He will try to find weak places in Europe, in NATO countries. He will try to do it. I said previous our meetings. I said I don't know what format he will choose to fight.
Trump also admitted that, in fact, China and India are sponsors of this war, but in the end, he still shifted the blame onto Europe.
China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy.
And now, even journalists are laughing at Trump's administration, hinting that they still haven't managed to stop the war. But Rubio started making excuses. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio responded to a question from NBC Today show host Craig Melvin about why Donald Trump hasn't been able to stop the Russia-Ukraine war within 250 days, said, "Yes, but it's not for us to decide whether to end the war. The Russians must stop the war and the Ukrainians have to agree to peace." All in all, the circus continues, so there is no other way to describe it. Meanwhile, the fighting on the front goes on, and unfortunately, today we again have territorial losses. Let's start right away with the situation near the settlement of Pokrovsk in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Here, fairly serious Russian advances have been confirmed. They broke 2 kilometers and 900 meters between Sosnivka and Berezova across the fields. As for the village of Berezova itself, full occupation hasn't yet been confirmed, but half the village is already captured by the Russians, with a breakthrough of 1 kilometer and 600 meters. And the Russians also managed to push strongly across the fields toward Novogrigorivka. That breakthrough was 8 kilometers, and the situation is deteriorating quickly. Moreover, Ukrainian soldiers are saying that Kalinivska is in fact fallen under the Russian control. So most likely in the coming days there will be new changes along this stretch of the front and not in our favor. At the same time, it's important to note that Zelensky told Trump that the Ukrainian forces had liberated 360 square kilometers over the past month.
In these months, our warriors freed 360 kilometers, and thousands of soldiers did a great job.
And despite the fact that we review the front every single day, I honestly don't know where such a number of square kilometers was actually liberated. So, friends, you can write your thoughts about this in the comments. In the Gulay-Pole direction, the Russians are still storming Poltavka, but here they haven't had any new successes, and over the past day the front line hasn't changed. In the Zaporizhia direction, the Russians haven't launched any new assaults, and over the past 24 hours, the front line has remained unchanged. In the Kherson direction, the Russians are heavily shelling the right bank, but no new assaults have been recorded there either, and the situation hasn't changed over the past day. And now let's move to the Novopavlivka direction. Here, the Russians continue assaulting Dachne, Filia, Ivanivka, and Alexandrograd. But over the past 24 hours, they have made no new gains, and for now, the front line remains unchanged. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians are attacking the area around the city of Rodinske, Krasny Liman, Novoekonomichne, Myrolюбівка, the village of Promень, the outskirts of Mirnograd and Molodetske. They are also trying to break through near Udachne, Kotlene, and Zvirove. However, over the past day, there have been no changes here either. For now, the defense is holding. In the Dobropilla direction, the Russians are once again advancing near Zolotый Kolodязь. They are also assaulting Vilna and Nikhanorivka. However, over the past day, there have been no new changes. The Ukrainian forces are holding the line and attempting localized counterattacks. In the Kostantinivka direction, the Russians are assaulting Майське, Ступочки, Плещіївка, Klebanbyk, Bereztok, and Stepanivka. In addition, attacks continue across the fields near Rusin Yar and Poltavka. A large number of strikes are also being reported in Kostantinivka and Drushkivka and other settlements. Russian activity here is very high, although so far there are no changes on the front line. In the Siversk direction, the situation is not improving after the Russians managed to make significant advances near Yampil and Siversk. Today they claim new gains from the south. Allegedly, they captured the village of Pereizne, which had been heavily contested. So far, there is no information, so we're waiting. However, it seems the situation here is worsening. Meanwhile, the Russians are breaking through near Vyemka and Serebryanka, but over the past day, there have been no changes. In the Liman direction, the Russians are assaulting Zarichne, breaking through near Kolodязі and attacking Ставки, Дробишеве, Шандриголове, Середнє, Новомихайлівка, and Olhivka. The situation remains very difficult, and gradually the Russians are managing to press through the defenses. The situation in Shandriголове is unclear. The village is effectively in the gray zone, but the Ukrainian forces are striking Russian forces there with FPV drones to prevent them from establishing a foothold. In the Borova direction, the Russians are assaulting Novoyegorivka and Stepove. So far, there have been no advances, but fighting continues. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are attacking Kupiansk itself, also Tyshenkivka, and are breaking through near Pishane. Activity here remains high. However, the Ukrainian forces have managed to stop the Russian advance in the city, and for now there are no changes. In the Dvorichna direction, the Russians are assaulting Doroshivka and Kutkivka and are breaking through near Krasne Pershe. Despite the activity, the Russians haven't achieved any new gains so far. In the Velik Burluk direction, the Russians are attacking Odradne, but so far they haven't been able to advance further. They took control of fields near the border, but in populated areas they were stopped. The fighting continues. In the Kharkiv direction, there are only shelling with no offensive actions over the past day. The front line hasn't changed. While fighting continues in Vovchansk, the Russians are trying to advance in the Vovchansky Hutory area, but the front line here also remains unchanged. In the Sumy direction, the Russians are breaking through near the villages of Kostantinivka, Kindrativka, and Yablonivka. However, they have made no gains and the front line remains unchanged. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.